Here is a story about a new race. Yes, a new race, a race of cats, which have survived decades of isolation within an island of forest known as a refugia. This refugia is on the east coast of Africa in Kenya. It is a miracle in this day and age of wildlife ecological destruction that they have survived. These cats were recognized in Africa as a unique breed by Gloria Muldrop here, who has introduced and bred them in Denmark. 10 years ago, these cats were in danger of extinction. Today, she has been successful in breeding 5 generations, which is now enough to establish recognition of a new cat race here in Europe. It is sufficient to say that the breed has evolved naturally, and there has been no genetic implementation by man or artificial crossbreeding to arrive at this species. There is, however, still great mystery surrounding the Sokoke cat race. Have they been breeding and evolved in the Sokoke forest for centuries, perhaps since the Pleistocene period? There are so many endemic species of birds and mammals in the forest that it seems quite feasible that this could be. The forest alone is recognized as the second most important for unique bird and mammal species on the African continent. The old forest honey hunters of the Giriama tribe say they have known the cats and described the Sokoke cat perfectly without sight of it. They also used to catch and eat them, which could be the reason for their rarity within the forest boundary. There is a theory that perhaps they arrived by trading dhow, as this area of Malindi has been trading with the lateen sailboats for 2,000 years. The ancient city of Gedi could somehow contain a clue, although written records of this era are virtually non-existent except for some mention in the Chinese chronicles of the Tung and later Ming periods. This city of Gedi, now reclaimed by the Sokoke forest, as you can see by the illustration here, thrived 6 centuries ago and was most certainly Shiraz in its style and concept. The demise of this city, now overgrown, is itself a mystery. The 6 endemic bird species and unique mammals like the golden-backed elephant shrew are proof and indicative that this Sokoke forest area has bred many new species. Some as yet have not been discovered. The Sokoke cat has been missed. This is quite explicable. One can spend months in the forest without seeing an elephant, but they are there. Whatever the answer is, these cats have been known for at least 15 generations by Gloria Muldrop, and 5 of those she has now bred in Denmark. There has been little genetic variation on the standard set, which in itself proves its robust genetic history has naturally evolved in an ecological niche of the Sokoke forest.
Jeg har den på tysk, jeg har den på fransk, jeg har den på engelsk, jeg har den på dansk, fordi jeg vil være helt sikker.
Ja.
Og jeg har fået dem på fransk, så det var de oprindeligt oversat af en pige, der gik på universitetet. Og jeg synes, det var helt klart og tydeligt. Det står 5 generationer, og det står ikke på begge sider, bare 5 generationer.
Det er bare 5 generationer.
Ja. Så jeg var helt sikker på også. For hvad Molly Oliver sagde, jeg har også haft korrespondance med Molly Oliver, hvor hun godt nok ikke har talt om det problematik, ikke også? Hvad så er det hele gået i vasken, altså?
Nej, det vil jeg ikke sige.
Nej.
Jeg vil nu lige tage en snak med Åse Nielsen efter weekenden.
Det må være lidt af et chok for dig, hva'?
Jeg var måske lidt forberedt på det.
Var du det? Ja.
Måske lidt, ja.
Ja.
Som snakken, han er både frem og tilbage her på det sidste måned tid ind.
Ja.
Og det der med, at man vil snakke med en, som ikke rigtig kender noget, og man vil snakke med en anden, som måske heller ikke kender noget, så ligger man så over på Scholer. Og da han er med i dommerkommissionen, så er det så ham, vi skal snakke med.
Men er det rigtigt, at formanden for dommerkommissionen er en italiener på nuværende tidspunkt? Er det den italiener, der står i Væsebæk på nuværende tidspunkt?
Ja, det er det sidste lige. Ja.
Fordi jeg tænkte på, hvad man får fat i ham, der er formanden for mig. Fordi jeg har forbindelse i Italien,
ja. Ja.
Fordi det kom direkte fra Molly Oliver den gang, ikke?
Ja. Lige et øjeblik, der er lige noget, der vi skal over samtidig med noget her.
Ja.
Har vi noget, jeg skal ordne privat?
Det kan du tog, Finn.
Jo.
Ja.
Okay. Ja, hej.
Må jeg prøve lige at læse det der?
Jeg har læst, at jeg er helt blod i hovedet på Facebook. Jeg kender det uden ad.
Det er jo knæknæse. Det er jo
Irak. Finn Larsen.
What I need is part of the committee here and the recent discussions, which I will then explain later on to the viewers, and I want you to translate that last conversation. You were talking to the president of the club.
Yes,
Can you explain what's going on?
Of our local cat club, it's called Irak. And this is the club we've been working with since 1986. And planning the acceptance of the Sokoke cats when we had enough cats and enough generations to have them accepted as a race. And I don't know if I have the rules in English in front of me. I don't think I do.
Men han sagde jo, at han havde talt med Lene Jørgensen, Lene Christiansen om det. Og hun har sagt, det var nej.
Would you hold on one? Would you hold on one? I have the rules in English from FIFA. You mean?
Yes.
Of the acceptance for a breed. Just hold on one. Again about that.
All right. These are the rules from FIFA that we have been working on since 1984 in Denmark, anyway. And it says to recognize a new breed. This is the English translation. It was originally written in French. A breed not listed by the FIFA as a recognized breed, the following conditions must be met. 1. An exhibition of 3 cats with 5 consecutive generations of the breed. In addition, an exhibition of 15 cats showing 3 different generations of the same breed for recognition. The presentation must be made at an international show in the presence of the majority of the members of the Judges' LO Committee.
Okay, now has that been fulfilled as far as the showing has been concerned?
Well, the showing was supposed to take place in September, and the judges from FIFA are invited by our local cat club. And we have 5 generations of cats, all with the same conformation, all with the same pattern, and all with the same colors. But because of the fact that we have put new blood from Africa into the 4th generation of cats, as when you're looking at the registration cards or the pedigree of the cats, you will only see cats on one side of the pedigree, because we then have the new animals from Africa where Jenny's cats are not written behind them. So it looks like it's completely new blood. And they're now saying that not only do we have to have these 5 generations, but we have to have mothers and fathers of all 5 generations on both sides.
But why are they saying that when the standards are as they were in 1984?
I'm frightened it's something political because it seems very unreasonable, and the rules can be a bit difficult to understand. And we worked at the time with Hannah Sophia Sneum, who's an international judge, and she checked it with Molly Oliver to be absolutely sure what was in the rules. And we all agreed that it was 5 generations. And no one said anything about filling up a pedigree, the papers on both sides. So we're all terribly disappointed. And it's a terrible shock for us because we've been working on this and used a tremendous amount of energy and money. And
since 1984?
Yes.
Right. So what it amounts to is what I'm going to explain in my next meeting or next shot, which is really about it's or I can even say it now, which is really one. It sounds as if it's sour grapes, which seems to be getting in the way of a new race coming into and being recognised in Europe at the moment.
It could possibly be because we have a lot of competition too, because there's a race from America, very costbar cats called Mao cats that have just been recognized by the European Cat Organization, and there are also other cats that have been recognized lately that aren't really a new race, but they're a mixture of 2 other races that have a slightly different conformation and that have been accepted as a new race. But the only one that really needs recognition to be saved from extinction is the Sokoke cat. They're ignoring that one.
Yes, well, they seem to be having rather mixed up in their attitude towards something which has not been, as we've said previously, not man-made, and it's not been artificially produced at all by crossbreeding of any races that we know of, and therefore they cannot accept the fact that it is a new race and it has happened naturally in the Sokoke forest. They can't accept this fact. Do you think that's true?
No, I don't know. I really don't. I'm just terribly disappointed. The telephone's ringing.
Right,
Let's see
okay.
if there's any more.
Okay.
Hello?
Well, it seems, according to European cat politics, that these cats have no future as a race as it stands at the moment, according to the new president of the club. Whereas in 1986, these were almost certain to be ratified as a cat race. Now, after 6 years of hard work producing, because they have brought in some new blood from Africa, these cats are not going to be recognised. Such a lot of work to produce such a very, very interesting breed. And now, there they are. One with a little black eye there by the look of it. But very successfully, some babies coming on, a new litter. And there they are. 3 new Sokoke cats. Approximate weight now 300 grams each. Born very, very small, as this was the first litter for this kitten, at between 60 and 70 grams. Now have put on in 1 week quite a considerable amount. 10 days now up to 300 plus grams. It does not look, for the present at least, that the Sokoke cat will join the illustrious breeds illustrated here on the wall of Kildemose Sokoke cattery on Fyn Island, Denmark. Let us take a closer look at the standard variety of house cat, breed recognised here. If we take a European, for example, the differential between this cat and the Sokoke standard is considerable. This illustration reveals a Sokoke which has features more like a lynx. Long back legs, a very long tail, translucent, slightly tufted ears. The illustration presented here by an Italian international cat judge shows the average domestic European outlined in red, superimposed on a Sokoke, reveals considerable proportional differences and showing definite unique characteristics which now feature in the standard Sokoke breed. Illustration of a Sokoke kitten in situ and its natural habitat, or next to its natural habitat, on the sands of Watamu, and it emphasises how very much at home they are in the coastal regions. The cats are also very good swimmers. As we now have seen, the introduction of this breed into Denmark, Europe, has fostered opposition and unjust disbelief in Sokoke genetic purity. To change the rules in order to prevent recognition of an African race smacks of apartheid in the feline world. The following scenes, filmed in and around Sokoke Forest, Kenya, show the habitat of the Sokoke and give first-hand illustrations from people who have come into contact with Sokoke cats over the past 15 years. Dr. Barbara Simpson, who has lived 20 years adjacent to the Sokoke, explains her first encounter with the Sokoke cat while with the famous naturalist Eric Risley, bird watching in the Sokoke forest. Background noise here is a bit noisy because we're in a bar.
I was a boy we're sitting in the bar of the Ocean Sports, and we've just been so lucky to meet Barbara Simpson, that Jenny discovered was here today. We've been looking forward to meeting her because she is one of the people who has seen the Sokoke cat in the forest. Can you tell us about Barbara? I'll tell you about it.
I will say first that I have known Jenny for a long time, and I was here when Jenny first collected her cats. She brought them back, and I went over and saw them, and with no thinking, following in the problem. She has had several generations of cat kittens already. Before I was in the forest one day with Eric Risley looking for birds. We had a long walk and we were walking back towards the car. We were walking on the road and
Here, Jenny Slater gives her account of her Sokoke cat discovery.
In the bush down there, and he came up and said there was this odd cat underneath the bush with some kittens. So I said, well, don't clear it. I wasn't even very interested.
Please, Jenny, can you speak a little louder? It's not loud enough.
It's not loud enough?
No. Yeah, a
I've
little
got
more.
laryngitis.
Come on.
Anyway, he, in the afternoon I did go down because he said the mother cat was there. So I went down, and under this root there was this enormous pair of ears and these huge eyes. That's all I could see in this dark hole. And then out shot this beautiful cat. And I noticed that she had lovely markings, different from anything I'd ever seen before. So then I looked at the kittens and they were all exactly the same. So I, not being very clued up on boys and girls, turned them all upside down found 2 different designs on their tails and took them home. They still had wet tummy buttons, and I reared them for however long it takes to rear them, feeding them about 4 times a night and a day and everything else. And then they just grew into these super cats, which then mated. And I've had them here outside when a chap called Bill Langridge, who was a vet, came and saw them, and he said to me, "My goodness, where did you get those cats?" And I said, "Well, in the bush on my plot, actually." And he said, "But those are the cats I've been trying to catch in the Sokoke forest for the past 3 years." So then I got quite interested.
It would have no effect on a person. If it were a mouse or a lizard, then it would kill it very quickly. But they're a very, very powerful snake, and when you first catch them, they flash around and they'll try and bite you, and they're very tough. But you hold them quietly just for a few minutes, and they're so nice and tranquil.
The world-famous herpetologist here, James Ash, also lives adjacent to the Sokoke forest. He, of course, is very aware of many species as yet undiscovered in the forest. He has recently discovered a new lizard which has not been recognized yet. Another example of an endemic Sokoke species.
Thanks very much. Hi, do you go anywhere near this alcove? You have your choice. No, that's a gaboon biter skin. Yeah, the top one.
That's a black mamba, of course it doesn't. No.
That's from...
We encounter David Lockwood, your commentator here, in the forest, and going towards his vigil camp set up by he alone against all bureaucratic opposition to ensure protection of the forest habitat. His early first-generation Sokoke cat, illustrated here, lived with him in Nairobi in 1978. And this cat subsequently went to Lake Naivasha, his cottage in Lake Naivasha, which was actually rented from Joy Adamson at Elsamere. And Joy Adamson knew this cat very well indeed in the 1970s and pressed Lockwood to find out more about his origins. Unfortunately, at the time, Joy went to Shaba with her leopard and they never met again. A very well-known character, Mr. Perkins, here taken on Lockwood's beach at Watamu, back near the Sokoke forest. I'm going to just take photographs of Elephant Walk. Here in the Sokoke forest, this is a sparse area, not so many big trees here, but Sokoke cats reported in this area, along with elephant, which are very difficult to see, of course. And this is the route the elephant takes down to Lockwood and my camp down at the edge, which is a vigil camp, to stop poaching, to stop tree cutting. Elephant in the bushes. This is the elephant walk down to my camp, which is a camp in the Sokoke forest, right on the edge, where the elephants come when the rains fill up the water holes. And they come for miles to this forest. And they've been coming here for thousands of years, from the Savo Park down the Sabaki River. We're quite near the estuary, near the exit of the river to the sea. So they love this forest because it's got a lot of good shade. Although it's hot, it gives them good
good protection, safe, not very many people around, and they can get lots of food, good water. So we've got possibly at the moment about 40, 50 elephants around us right now, within half a kilometre of us here. But they love to stick in the thick, especially in the middle of the day, and as you see we're at the middle of the day now. Nothing moves. You can hear all the birds, of course, singing, you know. But that's because we've had a lot of good rain now. And the birds are very happy, noisy. Otherwise, it's normally terribly quiet here this time of year. There's buffalo in here as well. Sincerus gaffer, which is quite a... We've got a small herd and a few old males who live in here, live in the forest. They roam around at night mainly. During the day they just sit up under in the shade, chewing the cud, like any other bovine.
There's a Lockwood's camp on the edge of the Sokoke forest, near a natural water hole.
Luck's still not there. It's nice and cool here.
This camp has been here since 1985, when Lockwood first came into the forest and decided that it ought to have some form of interesting protection. And the game here is all of the large species are all large species, the large species of elephants.
Here last night at the water hole.
At this time the film was taken, there were rhino here, but since then, after reporting it, they had been poached. The rhino have been poached from this area now, after Lockwood reporting to the authorities in Nairobi that there were rhino, and nothing was done about it. So they've been poached and they've gone. But the trees are still standing. You stop all poaching of the trees in this area. These trees here are Diospyros. That's an Ebonacea family, an ebony family, very
bar. Would you care for a gin and tonic, madam?
These trees are very prized for their hardwood. Ebonacea are very hard wood and used in furniture, doors and carving, wood carving. The mystery of the Sokoke cat is not whether it is a race or not, but how did it arrive, and indeed, how did it survive in its purity in a wild state so close to every imaginable variety and crossbreeds of Felis libica? But nevertheless, here it is, a glorious cat with unique characteristics, a charming, natural African, with exuberant temperament, well-muscled, sleek, and finely tuned, as everyone would imagine it would be after having survived the rigors of isolation, where it has survived on insects of the forest, mainly the myriads of butterflies which swarm in the understory of the great antediluvian trees. And so perhaps, with our other forest friends, the Sokoke scops owl, the stick-legged golden-backed elephant shrew, the Sokoke pipits, East Coast accolade, the spotted ground thrush, and the Sokoke forest duiker, Are they like these other forest dependents, and along with the remnants of global natural life, doomed to extinction within the space now of a few decades?